Hey everybody, my name is Tiffany. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. How to get started on your ideas for side projects. It's side project season. Probably not. I don't know. I made it up. But I'm personally am starting on trying to do better with my side projects and making sure that I'm actually doing stuff with them. The side projects I'm referring to are like things for your portfolio. It could be portfolio pieces, or they could be just things that ideas that you've had and you really want to make application or mobile app or whatever it is that you want to do with it, and you just want to hurry up and get it out there. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So the first thing you can do is keep track of your ideas. So I normally have ideas that kind of pop up throughout the day, and I'm like, ooh, that'd be a good idea. And sometimes I fail to write them down. So the first tip I'm going to give you is to write down your ideas. So a lot of times we may have this great idea, but we failed to write it down. And so because of that, you now don't have that idea in your possession. That happened to me recently. I had a great idea. I still can't for the life of me remember what that idea was. But I moved on and I got new ideas. So the best way to keep track of your ideas is to use applications or things that are near you so that you can easily write things down. So for me, what that looks like is sometimes I'll have a pen and a paper and I could write things down that way. Or the best thing to do is my phone. So I normally always have my phone somewhere near me, and if I do and then the idea pops up, I grab my phone, take out the notes app that's on my iPhone, and I just jot it down. Like I have a note of ideas and other side projects that I keep track of and stuff like that. Another way to do that is on your laptop, so you can use like a Google Doc. You could also use a Google Doc on your phone too. So things that are kind of interchangeable. So if you go to one resource, you could still have access it. You could still access it from another resource. So if I save a Google Doc on my phone, I am then later able to see it on my laptop because my account is the same. So that's just one way to think of it. Some people use Trello boards as well. I admittedly haven't used Trello in such a long time, so it wouldn't really make sense for me to use it because it's not something I use on a daily basis. However, if you have something that you use on a daily basis, go for it. In this stage of keeping track of your ideas, you also want to make sure that you're keeping track of how you want to implement that idea in terms of what language you want to use. So is this going to be an idea where you try out a new technology that you have not used before? Well, write that down. Is it going to be something where it's old technologies that you used before and you just want to make them get better at it? Write that down so you have it. So when you go back to revisit that idea and you want to start it, it's not going to be that difficult to start because you have it already written out. Now, admittedly, sometimes people go into projects and they kind of just don't know where they want to start and they don't know what language they want to use. And in that case, I would say start with what you do know. So if you do know HTML and CSS, start there. If you only know HTML, then of course that's where you're going to start. But when things come up, you're going to gradually reach for things that you didn't know before and utilize those things. The second thing is to have a plan to move forward. Right? So what does that mean? In this part, you should have a general idea of what you want your application to look like. Let's just call it application for this purpose. So what do you want this application to look like? What do you want the functionality to be able to do? Or let's say you have a app for a restaurant and you really just want to make this website better because you ran across it, it's one of your favorite restaurants, and the website sucks and you just want to redo it. So at that stage, you have kind of like a template of what's already there and you're just trying to embellish it and make it better. So then you could say, okay, well, I like this, and this about this website, but I really would like to enhance that, and that. So just have an idea of the direction that you want to go, and again, write it down. So if you don't know what you want it to do, it's going to be a little bit difficult to move forward with your ideas. So really take some time throughout your day and really kind of focus on, okay, this is, especially if it's something you're passionate about, but focus on, okay, this is a restaurant website, application, whatever it is, and at this stage all I want it to do is just look better. It looks pretty bad. Some of the links are broken. I want to fix the links, and I just want to embellish it, make it better, maybe put like a framework to it, like Bootstrap or Materialize or something like that, or some other framework. Or maybe I want to implement React in some kind of way for this application. I don't know if that's possible. I'm just throwing things out there. So just find a way to really nail down what you would like this application to do and a general idea of what it looks like. If you don't have an example of what it already looks like, my challenge to you would be to do some research. So you visit websites very frequently, I'm sure, on a daily basis. Pick out some things that you like about the websites that you visit. Do you like this navigation bar? Is it lovely? You're like, I could create something like that. Or, hey, do you like the way the fonts that they're using? Oh, those are some cool looking fonts. Or do you like the functionality of the website? Hey, I like that when I click this button, a card flips over and it shows me additional information, or whatever the action is that you like. So learn kind of what you like about specific things and what you would like to implement on your web application so you can make it great. The third thing is to have a timeline that you would want this to be completed. So during your idea stage, it's easy to get stuck there, and you don't want to get stuck there. Trust me, do not stop at the idea stage. So that's why I'm telling you, have an idea of what I want it to look like, the functionality that your users would want to see, that sort of thing. So when you are ready to start, it's like, okay, I have an idea, I just need a timeline. With your timeline, what you want to do is you really want to map out. I like deadlines. If you don't work well on deadlines, then maybe you come up with a different way to work that works for you. But for me, deadlines work well. So if I say I'm going to start a file for this project within the next 3 days, then I had better hop on my laptop, start a file, whatever that looks like, depending on what language you're using. So it could be just an HTML document. I don't know. It could be something where you're using a framework like Laravel and you're trying to create a whole new project. And then in that case, it'll look a little bit differently how you get started. But in the end, you're going to be updating a file that's hopefully going to display some information to you. And so if you could just start like little pieces like that, it is a side project. So it's going to take you a little bit longer to progress, but it's one of those situations where hopefully you really enjoy what you're doing, so it won't seem like work. And so yeah, so that's the thing with the timeline. The ultimate idea here is to just get started. And I know a lot of times people say, well, everybody tells me to just get started, but how do I just get started? How do you get started is you go back and you do steps 1 and 2 that I mentioned before. And then once you do steps 1 and 2, you have a clear idea and understanding of what you would like to do. And then it's easier to get started. So that's probably the best route that I can take you. I'm sorry, I don't have a magic method for this. That's just what it is. It's going to take some effort on your part. If this is something that you want to do as a side project, then you'll definitely get it done. And trust me, you'll come up with ideas that you may not like, and then you could throw them out and don't revisit them again, or maybe revisit them at a later date once you get at a better understanding or more experience or whatever the case may be. So once you get started and you create that one file that has maybe like hello world on it, just so you can see it's working on the screen correctly, then you want to start going through and implementing some of the things that you mentioned that you wanted to do. So let's say you wanted to start the page from top to bottom. You could start it in navigation. You can keep going from there, or you could just work on, maybe you like working on the most difficult thing first. Find out what it is for you. So find out where you like to start. If you did one project before and you started with the functionality first and it like totally drained you and you never ended up finishing, maybe you work on the CSS side first. Maybe you work on what you see when you look at the page first. Maybe that will help motivate you to get to the functionality. Or maybe you mix it up. Maybe one day you work on what you see, you get something on the page, and then you figure out how to make that thing work with functionality. So it kind of just depends on you and how you'd like to proceed with that. But definitely just get something on the page, get it started. The beauty about it is that once you get started and you start playing around with things and you're like, okay, cool, I got this part up. Now a user can click on this and it'll go to the next page. And once you have that done, then you could start thinking about how you want to enhance it. How do you want to make this better? Maybe you don't want it to be just some bland button that someone clicks. Maybe you want that button to spin around and like have some music in the background, or maybe you want it to do whatever it is. The possibilities are endless as long as you just start. So that's all I have for you guys. I really hope this was helpful. To recap very quickly, the top 3 things that I believe that you should do when you're trying to get started on a side project is to keep track of your ideas, including the languages that you'd like to tackle with this project. The second thing is have a plan to move forward. What is it going to look like? What is it going to do? The third and final thing is have a timeline on when you want to get those things done. I thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you've got any cool side projects that you're working on. Leave them down below. Leave a comment about what it is, or just a vague idea if you don't want anybody to steal your amazing, awesome idea. I'd love to hear from you all. I will see you in another one. Be awesome. See you guys.